everyone, and welcome to Life After the Military, a show completely focused on veterans transitioning from military to civilian life. Our show is powered by Pivotal Moments, an organization on a mission to strengthen mental fitness for all. Go check them out at pivotalmoments.org. My name is Lee Elias, and I'm joined as always by my good friend and co-host, Howie Cohen, and we are privileged to have Command Sergeants Major AC Coley and Mark Clifton with us here today. Both AC and Mark served as non-commissioned officers in the U.S. Army Signal Corps. They have a combined 70 plus years of government service, both in the Army and as federal government service employees. They both served a significant portion of their military and federal government service careers in the airborne and special operation forces community, which included assignments to the 112th Signal Battalion, Special Operations Airborne in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and the United States Special Operations Command in Tampa, Florida. AC completed a second career as a government service employee when he retired in 2019, and Mark left government service to work as a government contractor in Arma Global in 2010, then started his own company, Spathe Systems, as a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business in Tampa, where he serves today as the president and managing partner. AC joined Spathe Systems in 2019 as the director of strategic relations. AC and Mark, it's a pleasure to have you here today. Welcome to Life After the Military.
Hey, pleasure to meet you. And yeah, no doubt about it, Lee. We're excited. You know, Howie invited us, so we're super excited to get going. No doubt about it.
Well, I'll tell you both. Howie has been talking about this podcast for a long time. That's no insult to any of the other guests, but he's been telling me since day one of this podcast that we need to get you both on. So we're going to dive right into the first question and I know Howie's going to take over this episode, which I want him to do because I can't wait to hear some of these stories. But as we said, you guys have a combined 70 plus years of combined service in the military and the federal government. Why don't you share how the experiences in the military molded you, shaped you? Feel free to share any stories that you have about your time. And I definitely know that Howie has some stories he wants to share with both of you.
Hey, AC, you go ahead and take the mic first, and I'll come right behind you, AC.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you for letting us join you today. My career started, the airborne career started out in the 82nd Airborne Division. I served in the 1980s and 1990s in the 82nd Signal Battalion. While serving in the 82nd Signal Battalion, I met one of the best coaches, teachers, and mentors I could have ever dreamed of having. A gentleman by the name of Sergeant Major Mike Somerville. Sergeant Major Somerville taught me attention to detail, leadership, and he taught me to always improvise, adapt, and overcome my challenges. The 82nd Airborne, again, it is one of the most elite airborne organizations in the world. What Sergeant Major Somerville also told me was, hey, you got to get out of your comfort zone. And he told me he wanted me to leave the company, which was Alpha Company, 82nd Signal, go up to the S3, which is the systems control. It's sort of like the focal point of the battalion. And once I got there, I was able to take on, I was given an opportunity to give back to the airborne community. I was teamed up with a young signal officer by the name of Thomas Hopkins. Oh. And the battalion commander gave us the mission to go and provide input for airborne command and control capabilities for the C-17 aircraft. And that was back in the 80s. And as I look, every day that I see a C-17 today, it gives me chills because of the opportunity I was given and the leadership that Sergeant Major Somerville pushed me into to provide capability for our forces that are airborne. Just moving on to just the next phase, kind of moved into the 35th Signal Brigade, which Colonel Cohen commanded. And I was a part of Alpha 50th, which is the 50th Signal Battalion, is the Core Forced Entry Airborne Signal Battalion. And there we provided communication support for operations in Haiti and Somalia. But one of the most significant and enjoyable times that I spent in the battalion was during the disaster, Hurricane Andrew disaster in southern Florida. We were deployed to JTF with ATE 501 Corps down to South Florida to help the American people. And the battalion did a wonderful job. I was surrounded by great leadership and great teammates. And just to be able to provide capability, tactical capability for the citizens of the United States was priceless for me. I moved on to the 112th, which we'll talk a little bit about, a little bit more on, and then finally end up in uniform at the United States Special Operations Command as the J6 Senior Enlisted Advisor. And once I got there, it was a lot of work, but as soon as I got there, 9/11 happened. And I was responsible for advising, manning, training, and equipping the SOF Enterprise, all the communicators of the SOF Enterprise, to defeat the terrorist network. And that kind of ends up my time in uniform in the airborne community.
Hey, AC, so my career is very similar to AC's. We met in my mid-career, but I started mine also at Fort Bragg in the airborne community. And early on, I decided to take on and go to be a drill sergeant. And that's where I really found myself in terms of leadership, and met some really good senior non-commissioned officers that really, taught me the ropes. I then came back into Fort Bragg to the airborne community, fortunately in the 112th Signal Battalion. And there's a lot of expectations for NCOs in the SOF community because we lead early on in our careers as young NCOs, lead critical missions critical to national security around the globe. That's a very unique situation for young NCOs to be in. You get a chance to work in a joint environment, leading soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines at the tactical, operational, and strategic levels. That's what really molded me. And then I met my mentor, who's on the phone right here, AC Coley, and I kind of followed him, around the community after leaving 112th Signal Battalion, JCSC, another airborne unit, and then landed in where I actually started in the 35th Signal Brigade as the 50th Signal Command Sergeant Major, subordinate to Howie Cohen as the colonel for the brigade. I then went to US SOCOM right behind AC as the J6 Sergeant Major, and then followed him right on into, contracting initially, and then as a government civilian. And then, like Howie said, I pulled away in 2010 and started into Arma Global Corporation, where I really learned the ropes in terms of the defense contracting industry. And then late in 2016, I started Spathe Systems.
Yeah, so Lee, let me jump in real quick and share a couple things just so our audience understands the quality of the men that we have here today. I had the privilege to meet both of them when I commanded the 112th Signal Battalion, and for those of you who have listened to the episode with Becky Margiotta, you're going to hear this story a second time, but I'm going to tell it again right now. So as you'll recall, Becky took command of Bravo Company, 112th Signal Battalion, which happened to be the company that I commanded when I was there as a company level commander. And Mark Clifton, who was leading one of our deployed detachments in Panama, came up. He got promoted from sergeant first class to master sergeant, then to first sergeant, and so we made him the first sergeant of Bravo Company.
And I believe it was on the first day after he had assumed command as First Sergeant of Bravo Company, Mark removed his fatigue blouse, put on rubber gloves, and gathered up every piece of cleaning material and fluid in that company headquarters. He marched himself right into the company bathroom, the latrine, and he cleaned it from top to bottom. I mean, it was so clean that you could, and I'm not suggesting you would do this, but you could actually eat off any part of that bathroom floor or wall or whatever. And the message that Mark was sending to the rest of the men and women in that company is that number one, we're gonna have very high standards here, but there is no job that is too low for me as the first sergeant to do. So if I can do it, I certainly expect you to do it. And I could not think of a message, a leadership message that a highly effective leader could send to the people, the men and women that he leads, than that one right there. So, and one other thing about Mark, he mentioned about being a drill sergeant. So the Army has adopted a set of values, and if you look at it actually spells out the word. It's an acronym that spells out the word leadership. So it's loyalty, duty, respect, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And each one of those values is represented by a poster. And if you look at the integrity poster, it shows a Staff Sergeant Clifton in the Drill Sergeant of the Year. That is the man sitting before you right now, whose picture appears on the integrity poster of the Army values, right? So again, this is the kind of exceptional types of people I had to work with. Now let me shift to the other guy over here, AC Coley. And I remember this like it was freaking yesterday. I had just taken command of the battalion. AC was just returning from the Sergeant Major's Academy and was looking for a job. And the 112th was a fairly new battalion, but it was kind of gaining strength and momentum. And so AC, whose history has been in the 82nd Airborne Division, and he described that, and the 18th Airborne Corps with the 35th Signal Brigade, AC came into the 112th looking for a job. And he made an appointment, and he comes walking into my office and introduces himself, and we sit down and we talk. And within 30 seconds of AC talking to me, I knew that I needed to find, I don't know where I was going to put him, but I knew AC was going to be in my battalion, right? I mean, that's how impressed I was. In 30 seconds, I knew that I needed to have this man in my battalion. And I was so thankful. And thankfully, he was there till the day I left that battalion. So I really appreciate you guys being here today.
Hey, sir, you know what? I can't believe you remember that day when I was in the Bravo Company actually cleaning that stuff up. So
hey, you're a legend, man. Are you kidding?
That's amazing.
Everybody talked about that, Mark.
You know what? And when we was the 3rd Signal Brigade, and when you were the brigade commander, I did the same thing down in 50th. I went down there, did the same thing, had everybody down there. And so you set the standard, right from the beginning. So that does my heart some good that you remember that, for sure. No doubt about it.
Now, Howie, how the hell am I supposed to follow that up with just a bland ass question? No, that was a great introduction. I love working with Howie. I love it when Howie tells stories like that. That is one of his favorite stories to tell. It's phenomenal. So, guys, we did just talk about your service in the military. Obviously, the show is called Life After the Military. So we want to start to dive into that, some of the aspects and things that happened with you in your post-military career. So you both initially chose to work for the federal government as government service employees for the U.S. Special Operations Command J6. Please let the audience know how you planned for and executed the transition to the government service world. And let us know what went well, what did not go well, what would you do differently, keeping in mind, that the audience, both viewing and audio listening, are probably in that transition process now.
Hey, let me take this one first, AC, because you have a lot to do with me transitioning, and then you jump on top of me. So for me, coming out, like I said, I follow AC around the globe. He's my mentor beyond a shadow of a doubt. So for me, my transition was smooth. You know what I mean? I kind of just followed the model that AC, set for all of us, senior non-commissioned officers and Signal Corps supporting staff. So We have a unique set of skills. We operate in soft peculiar equipment. So the transition out is sort of kind of, if you still want to serve and support the soft community, the soldier, sailors, airmen, and Marines serving in soft, there's definitely an opportunity. And so AC, laid that path for us. And, so mine was sort of kind of seamless. If I had to do something differently, I wish I would have not been a hardhead and listened to, my mentor, AC Coley, folks like, Dean Betzer, Greg Emmons, who had the same transition right from, the headquarters USSOCOM. I would have taken some time off. I didn't do that. I was hard-headed. I thought I had an S on my chest, and, I was beat up pretty bad. And what I did was I literally retired on a Friday. AC was right there with me, and jumped right into still serving SOCOM, just in a different uniform, shirt and tie. And I didn't take any time off. And that haunts me to this day. So if I had to do anything different, it would definitely been to grow a little bit of hair. I'd have been looking like a fly because I can't grow hair. But I would have grown some hair, and just take a little bit of time off, and just enjoy my family, and then got back into the fight. But I didn't do it. And so that haunts me to this day. AC.
Yeah, Mark, I got to tell you, I didn't set a very good example, because that's, same thing happened to me. I retired on a Friday, and let me set the scene. This was right after 9/11. We were there, and we were just about to spin up for Iraq. So, I at that time I was pretty beat up, and medically I had to think about life after that. So I immediately figured out a way that I could continue to serve and make decisions and lead people, and that was in the government service. So what happened to me was again, I did not do what Mark said that we should have done, was take time off, because I was beat up pretty bad too, and that I should have. For anyone out there listening, your medical health is important, and you must take time out to take care of both mentally and physically your health. Being in the airborne community for decades, it tears your body up, and sometimes mentally. So back to the lessons learned. As I transitioned into the civilian position, it wasn't very smooth, because we were still learning what we were going to do to get after the bad guys. But I was put in some pretty decent positions where I could provide some insight for the young folks that were coming up behind me. And what I hoped that I did instill in the folks that were coming behind me, that there's more than one way to serve, not only in uniform, but as a government civilian. And then when those days are over, you can also serve as a contractor to support the United States Special Operations and the Department of Defense.
Yeah, and listen, I can't tell you how many times I've heard someone describe a situation very similar to what you guys just described. And look, I got the same exact advice, right? One of my mentors, and you know him, he might have actually been at the J6 when you guys were there. Ted Hanks, was Ted there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Yes, sir.
so
Yes, sir.
Ted was a friend and mentor of mine, and probably one of the best mentors I could have had to help me go through the retirement planning and transition process. But Ted made it very clear to me. He says, "Hey, look, Howie, I never heard anybody that transitioned from the military into life after the military that took off some time, whether it was a month, 2 months, 6 months, even a year. I never heard anybody who did that said I shouldn't have done that." He says, "But I can't tell you how many people who didn't do that have said, boy, did I make a mistake." And I really took that to heart. And listen, I understand too, a lot depends on what your financial situation is, right? But I'm kind of speaking to the audience now, right? If you can afford to do it, financially, if you can afford to do it, I highly, highly encourage you to take a month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, do the things that you always wanted to do and never got a chance to do. Spend some time, some real quality time with your spouse, your significant other, your kids, right? Spend that time with them, because you may never ever get a chance to do that again until you actually retire for good. And unfortunately, that you may be at an age and in a health condition that won't allow you to completely enjoy yourself. So I really encourage you to take some time off, whatever you can afford to do, recharge your battery, and that'll make you so much more effective when you come in and do whatever you choose to do. So, but I appreciate you guys sharing that, because that's probably more common than it is not common. So, but with that, let me continue to move on. And Mark, I'm going to kind of focus on you right now. It's interesting to me that and you did what a lot of us do. I did the same thing. You decided to go into the government contracting space, and you joined Arma Global in 2010, and you were the vice president for business development. And you later morphed that into a bigger position, was the vice president for solutions development and marketing. And it turns, just so for the audience, Arma Global was co-founded and co-owned by one of my lieutenants when I was a commander of the 112th Signal Battalion. And I'm going to tell you guys something right now, right? So this isn't part of the question, but I'm going to tell you something right now. So Todd Schweitzer is the guy I'm talking about. And Todd would beg me, said, Howie, come on, man, come on down, join Arma, be on my team. And I said, Todd, I'm good. God damn, he begged me to come down. I kept pushing him off and pushing him off. Boy, that was the biggest mistake I ever made. And we'll talk about that later. But anyway, so Mark, you really excelled in that position, because you took that company, and I mean this sincerely. You were a major part of taking that company from about 20 employees and about $20 million in annual revenue to over 1,000 employees and $200 million in revenue. And that's the business development stuff that you brought in, helped identify, capture, and win, which enabled that company to grow like it did. So what I'd love for you to do is just, again, I'm assuming that some members of our audience are going to go into government contracting and maybe even pursue business development, whether as a business developer or in any position. If you're in a small company, you're doing business development anyway. But how about explaining how you got those incredible, extraordinary results?
You know what, sir? No doubt about it. You mentioned Todd Schweitzer. Todd Schweitzer had a lot to do with it, right? So, as our battalion commander, when we was down in Bravo Company, and I was the first sergeant, and he was that hard-headed lieutenant down there in, I think, 2nd Platoon, we fought every day. We did. And then you made him our company commander when Becky left. And so we fought even harder. But you know what, though? It wasn't because we didn't like each other. It was because we were both trying to do the right things. So we were trying to do the right things our way. Our way was the right way, and we didn't care. And so we just bumped heads. But you know what? That came right around. It turned itself a few years later when I was transitioning. Guess who he came to get when he started his first company up in D.C.? Yep. He gave me the call. He knew, what I was made of. He knew that I was going to go the distance. I was going to exhaust all means, to be a value added a piece of his company, a member of his company. So his transition down here to Tampa, he called me. He called me first, and he started to move. Introduced him to a few folks. He told me that, hey man, I got my blueprint together. I got to convince Carol, to give me the keys to go ahead and start do this all over again. We came to your retirement ceremony, and during that retirement ceremony, AC and I was up there together, and we was all talking about this. We was all talking about Arma Global Corporation, and I think it was another name initially. And he did it. He put the flag in the ground, and I was a government civilian and comfortable, in my pace that I was moving, retired, and doing my thing down as director of the Global Network Control Center for SOCOM. I went to my mentor, AC, and said, hey, Todd is talking about, pulling me out of here, and he wanted to start a company. What do you think? He said, you might want to, think hard about it, loving your wife a little bit, go to your knees, and because it's different out there. And I'm a challenge. I like challenges. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. And so I said, hey, me and my wife, we prayed about it, and we jumped out. And I knew I was going to be in good hands because anything Todd touches is going to be gold, beyond a shadow of a doubt. So I pulled away, and from day one, we just started hard. I mean, I literally signed in on a Monday. Tuesday was on a plane up to Fort Bragg, and we just started that trek. You know what I mean? That guy he's a beast, man.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's going to
he's
go
a
in there.
little bulldog, man.
He's a bulldog, man. So he taught me to get out there and don't be passive. Be super aggressive. Leverage your reach into the spaces. Through the folks that you have that you've mentored over the years that's still in those spaces, and just obtain the intelligence, obtain the information that you need, for the work that you're going to compete in. And so we did that together, man. We traveled the globe, you know what I mean, and just knocked walls down and found contracts that we knew that we had intimate roles into. And he taught me. I when the first time he told me, hey man, you're gonna write this proposal, I told him he was crazy. I said, there's no way in the world I'm gonna sit down here and write a proposal, right? And he wouldn't let me off, man. He put it down. He critiqued me. First time I got a bad critique in my entire life, sir, was told me, hey man, you got to get your writing together. And then I started thinking twice, man, what in the world did I get into? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And over time, I just, kept doing it. He kept me at it. And we turned those writing skills developed my writing skills into, to be, I can write compelling stories, you know what I mean? And solutions, you know what I mean? And it turned into gold for us. Like you said, it came on with 20 employees. We blew it up to over 1,000. And then obviously it was so attractive that, and I'm pretty sure you're going to talk about it, everybody in the globe was trying to come at him. And it was inevitable. It was going to be acquired. And my heart was there. We got acquired in 2016 by GDIT, great organization, and it changed for us a little bit. And I didn't leave just because GDIT bought us, but, my business partners today, Aaron Herbst, and stop me from going too long, but I get excited about it. But my business partner, Aaron Herbst today, young guy, I don't think you met him yet, Howie, but you have to. And AC can attest to this. This guy's not borderline genius. This guy is genius.
Cool.
He was with us in Arma Global Corporation. He was on the accounting side. This guy sees numbers, and he again, like Ty told me, he said, dude, you got this gift, man. We need to start something here. And so we started that, doing some Ironside chats over time and put a flag in the ground there and started our trek out and left on a very good note. GDIT put us under their wings and got us our first, to get us going. So, and we still have a good relationship with them over there. So yeah, we did some good things, but it was because of Todd Schweitzer. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now if it wasn't for that hard-headed lieutenant way back in the day.
Yeah, I remember when he walked into that's another guy who walked into my office looking for a job in the 112th, right? And Todd comes in and he's just as the military bearing impeccable. You know how he is. And by the way, I didn't mention this, but it just occurred to me, the reason you guys were fighting so, you know why that was, Mark? You know why you guys are fighting so much? Because you're both from freaking New Jersey, man. You're both from Jersey.
That's right. We all homeboys. That's right.
If you ain't fighting, you ain't living, man.
You know what? You're correct, man. we're homeboys, man, and we fought. We did. I used to come home. My wife was like, "Just chill out." And I'd be on the stairs, just sitting there like, "I'm gonna kill that guy when I go to work tomorrow."
Guys, listen. We got a lot of people from New Jersey on this show. I'll tell you, my wife is from New Jersey. I just say a lot of. I went to school in New Jersey. And it's not fighting, Howie. It's aggressive communication.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let me tell you about aggressive communication.
I like that.
I'm gonna tell you about aggressive communication right now. So the last time I was up in Jersey visiting my family there, I drive into a gas station, right? And in Jersey, they don't have self-serve, right? It's all full serve, right? And that's cool, right? So I got somebody pumping my gas for me. That's great. And I got my wife sitting next to me, Maria sitting next to me, and it's just Maria and me in the car. I go, full serve. Son of a gun. I remember when I was a kid growing up, full serve meant that they would wash your windshields, they would open up the hood of your car, they would check your oil, they check the air in your tires, say, you know what? if I'm going to pay extra for full service, this son of a bitch is going to give me full service, and he's going to wash my windshields, and he's going to. And my wife looks at me and says, you're so Jersey ghetto."
You gotta give what you can pay, you gotta get what you pay for, man. That's just how it is.
No, I remember people telling my wife, "You guys bicker all the time." I go, "We're communicating." We're communicating.
I like that.
We're talking.
I'm gonna steal that from you. I like
aggressive communication. My other
aggressive communication. My wife calls it Jersey ghetto, man.
Yeah, no. Here's the other thing I say for people from the Northeast: if you grow up here, you have a Northeast condescension. That's what I call it. You're born with a Northeast condescension. What's that mean? Yeah, you wouldn't know what it means, would you?
Well, anyway, you know what, man? You're right, sir. That's correct.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man. You're from Jersey. Hey. By the way, when I left the 112th, the officers got together and put on a skit, making so you had Howie Coley as a battalion commander driving the same truck that he drove when he was a company commander. Right.
It was great. I remember that.
A great ghost, man. It was a great ghost, right? God, I don't even know how old it was, but it was the same truck that I drove when I was a company commander. You had Jim Wise, who it was his second assignment in the 112th. He was a battalion S1, and then he was the HAC commander. Then came back later as the XO, driving the same car that he drove when he was a battalion S1, right? And then you had Naven Knutson, who was the battalion S3 and had been in the company, been in the battalion as a company commander, was driving the same truck that he drove when he was a company commander. And that's so Todd played me, right? They did a skit about the three of us, right? And all they talked about was us driving the same old pieces of crap that we drove when we were in a company grade officers, right? So anyway, that's another memory I have of Todd's. But hey, AC, let me shift to you real quick. So obviously, when you retired out of the military, you chose to stay in government service. And what I find really impressive is when General Daly stood up the Center for Special Operations, after 9/11, to really target the global war on terrorism. He literally pulled you in by name to be a part of that effort. And I would love for you to share what you did in support of the SOCOM J6 when you were the senior enlisted advisor, and what you can talk about when you were working with General Daly in the CSO, because that was a critical role for the global war on terrorism that SOCOM led during that period of time.
Yes, sir. I'll be happy to. First of all, let me just say Lieutenant General Dale Daly was an outstanding leader. Outstanding. He let our J6 team do what it needed to do to provide the best capability for our warfighters to go after the terrorist network. He gave me quite a few challenges, and our team stepped up to the plate on all of them. A few of them I'll just name. We had the awesome responsibility of providing communications with our interagency partners, and video, voice, and data, so we could all work in a collaborative planning environment to get after the bad guys. He also gave us another challenge to do the same thing with our international partners. To make sure that we had a collaborative environment to actually communicate with our international partners. And then he threw the ultimate one on us. He says, hey, we're going to form this Special Operations Joint Task Force. And I want all the capability that you can get for us from air, land, and sea. And of course, sir, the 112th was the first thing I looked at. I'm like, okay, they're doing it already, and let me just pull them in, and we start working with the programs of record, getting new tools and new capabilities, deployable capabilities to provide that network to defeat a network. And once again, everybody stepped up to the plate. I think Colonel Randy Taylor was the battalion commander when they rolled out and certified the SOJOTF. And he did an outstanding job with the troops, getting them prepared to provide that capability. And now today, there are special operations joint task forces being deployed around the world. So.
Yeah, no, by the way, Randy Taylor, when I was a brigade commander at the 35th, Randy was my S3 for 2 years. And you talk about a talent. Randy was a talent. I made a promise to him when I left. I said, Randy, I'm going to do everything I possibly can do, anything I possibly can do that when you command a battalion, that it's going to be the 112th. And son of a gun, if he didn't get the 112th Signal Battalion, right? And oh, by the way, Randy is a 2-star general right now. So there's been some real talent.
Yes.
Pete Gallagher just retired as a 2-star, right? Was a company commander at the 112th, a battalion commander at the 112th. He ran the networks cross-functional team for the Army. I mean, there's been some incredible talent coming out of that battalion.
Hey, sir, I'd just like to pay a little tribute to 2 young men that were there in the early days when we were working for General Daly. Today is Brigadier General Jeff Ray.
Oh yeah, my God! Was Jeff part of the CSO as well too?
No, sir. He was working in one of the Tier 1 organizations.
Yeah,
but he was right there with us with the planning, all of the planning.
Yep.
He was right there, day one, providing outstanding leadership, planning, engineering, all of that. And his background. He was an enlisted. He was a warrant officer. And now he's a general officer.
When I was commanding Bravo Company 112, Sergeant E5 Sergeant Jeff Ray was one of my SOCA team chiefs.
Yes.
Then he went, as you know, and I know you guys know, he made it up to E7. He was in the POG, 4th POG, Psychological Operations Group, made it to Sergeant First Class, then decided to go to Warrant Officer School. Made it up to, I know he was a W2. Did he make it to 3? I don't remember if he made it to 3 or not, but he was at least.
I'm not sure if he made it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's at least a 2, and in fact served in the 3rd Ranger Battalion as a warrant officer. Okay. And then decided to go to OCS, Officer Candidate School, got himself commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant. And now he is a 1-star general. So here's a guy that was enlisted, was a warrant officer, and now is a general officer in the United States Army Signal Corps. And there's no doubt in my mind that he'll keep going as long as he decides to stay in, and probably will put on 2 or 3 stars, if not more, if he decides to stay in. But anyway, that's Jeff Ray. Yep.
Yeah, so just one more, because I got to talk about this gentleman too, because he served in 82nd, he served in 50th Signal, and he also served in Special Operations. That's General Todd Isaacson.
Oh,
he was there planning, just a super leader. He was there on the ground making things happen, unbelievable things happening. And I just wanted to make sure I let the audience know that he's still serving today, and an outstanding leader.
He absolutely is.
Yeah, we had a lot of talent. Yeah,
go ahead, please, Mark.
No, I'm saying we had a lot of talent. We didn't know what we had. I think, when I was a young non-com back there in the 112, didn't understand the magnitude of the leadership or the personnel that we had. I mean, everybody just flocked to the type on enlisted and on the officer side. Senior non-coms in charge of major organizations. Division level kind of stuff there. And then, like you said about Pete Gallagher and Todd Isaacson and then Jeff Ray, just phenomenal talent.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Mark, I'm going to shift back to you real quick. So we know you're with Arma Global. They had an absolutely meteoric rise, which prompted the company leadership to consider, hey, maybe it's time to cash out and make some big bucks. And that's exactly what they did. In fact, I was actually with SRA International at the time, and I convinced the SRA leadership to meet with Todd and who was the other gentleman that was with him?
Brian Overstreet.
Brian Overstreet. So Todd and Brian came in and met with some of the leadership at SRA International, where I was a part of at that point in time. and we competed. We competed to try to acquire Arma. We just didn't have the just didn't have the depth of funding to do it. But anyway, you were part of that transition, that acquisition, and the reason I bring this up is, again, I know that folks who are listening to this podcast will spend time in government contracting, will likely be in a small or medium to small company. And those types of companies, especially if they're successful, are going to be targets for acquisition. And so it's more likely than not that you'll experience an acquisition. And so that's why one of the reasons I want to have, folks like Mark and AC on is to share those kinds of experiences. So you'll be better prepared when you go through them. So, hey, Mark, if you would, from the Arma Global side, from the small company side, being acquired by a large government contractor, if you could explain what that acquisition was like for you and for the other employees at Arma, and help our audience understand that, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt about it, sir. So, yeah, the growth that we had at Arma, like we said earlier, was exponential, was phenomenal. Matter of fact, there probably should be a movie made about how to execute in the defense contracting environment. I mean, they textbook, right? I mean, there was a lot of variables that came into play. A lot of things were aligned and timing and all that kind of good stuff there, but it was inevitable. It was inevitable that the organization was going to be acquired. There was kind of talks around, not from them, but just people that understood, mergers and acquisitions. And so we sensed there was some interest, in acquiring Arma. And folks like me that was there from day one, knew that the speed of which we were operating once we got acquired, whoever we got acquired from, was going to probably slow down a bit. Fortunately, it was GDIT who had the desire to keep the speed. Matter of fact, they kept of all the folks, all the companies, I think that was in the fight to acquire Arma. I think that GDIT did a very good job in trying to keep Arma flagged and colored like they were, right. Was. They did a very good job in SOCOM, and so SOCOM many customers that we had did not want change, and so GDIT, definitely tried their best, but they're large, they're one of the top 5, defense contracting companies, so they have a lot to protect. And so we knew it was inevitable there was going to be some change, and just from integrating into their systems of record, their processes, their procedures, it was going to slow us down a bit. So it was a culture shock, especially for a guy like me coming into the defense contracting world and moving at the speed of which we did and doing what we did in Arma Global Corporation. To see that kind of stall for a minute was a culture shock. You know what I mean? But we got through it. You know what I mean? We integrated into GDIT's environment, and I stayed there by choice until the integration was done, because my heart was there, and there was no way in the world being on the front end, the VP for all of the new business. There was no way I was going to pull away, and so I had some candid conversations with some of the leaderships in GDIT about my desires to do what we're doing today, and so came clean and kept everything legal, and the ask was, hey, I stay on, and then as we move through and get fully integrated and pull away, and they to tuck us up under their wing and put us on the backside of a few of their contracts, which they did, sponsored our clearance, the whole 9 yards. And so yeah, it's a change. Change is not always bad. They gained, no doubt about it, some serious resources, resources that a small business typically don't have. You know how you've been out there doing it, doing proposals and capture activities, all that kind of good stuff there. It takes a lot of resources, and that's a good thing that Arma or any small business they get acquired by a large business gain instantly. So there was some good and there was some bad. Now everything's been settled. They're fully integrated into GDIT. It's been 5-6 years. But it was a very good experience. There's no where I'll be to be able to do what I'm doing as a president, for Spathe Systems, having not gone through all that, going from, 20 employees to whatever that number was when we got acquired, and then going through that integration. I learned a hell of a whole lot
Oh yeah, I bet.
about an organization, a build. And so thankful for that. God works in mysterious ways. When we first heard about it, I literally, drove away from the site like, wow, this is coming to an end. But like I said, God works in mysterious ways, and a path that He led me down here, to do this today was because of all that. So I'm thankful for it.
I think and when I kind of reflect back on the acquisition of the business unit that I was in with Morgan Franklin to SRA, I think the biggest thing that struck me was, when you're in a very small company, like you were at Arma, I was at Morgan Franklin, you're very agile, you're very adaptable, you can make, at any level of leadership, you're empowered to make decisions, right? And you can make those very quickly. As you go into larger, more structured organizations with a very command and control type of structure, organizational structure, you just move slower. And I think that's the thing that struck me the most was, number one, you have to be a part of established processes and procedures and things that were established many years ago, and there's no flexibility to avoid that. And the way decisions are made, you go all the way up and all the way back down, and it's just slow and tedious. And that's what I had a little bit of a challenge adjusting to, because I like being a very small, agile, adaptable environment. That's why I like the special operations community, right? Anyway, I'm sure you experienced that, but that I'm also sure that that's probably what motivated you to go on and stand up your own company, right? And you did that. Randy Moore said this too. He worked for, I think it was BAE Systems for about 3 years.
BAE, right?
Running their facility right outside Bragg in Spring Lake, and he says, look, he worked for them for 3 years, and they gave him $1 million education, right? Because they taught him all the things he needed to know to start his own company. And so between Arma and GDIT, I'm sure it's the same thing, right? They armed you with everything you needed to do to stand up Spathe Systems as a service-disabled veteran-owned small business. I know you focus on three main areas, C5, ISR, mission support, workforce modernization. So what I'd like for you to do, if you don't mind, Mark, is just spend a little bit of time explaining, about Spathe Systems, the different mission areas that you provide support to, and talk about, even just some of the contract vehicles and the customers that your company supports.
Yeah, no doubt, sir. You couldn't have said any better. Going back to what you said about some of the reasons, the variables that played and me moving away was exactly like you said. You know what I mean? Just being able to really support operations, move at the speed of operations, really launched me to pull away. But yeah, Spathe Systems is a service-stable veteran-owned small business. We're an 8A. We don't like to hang our hat on that. We like to compete. But just because of my background, being a minority and being a service member and being disabled, we get those caveats. So it's a good thing when you're going after certain contracts, right? But yeah, so we provide enable operation. It's the bottom line by providing C5 ISR, to enable mission operations. So we have C5 ISR, cloud compute, information technology, software development, DevSecOps, all those things that the federal government is looking for. What we did, sir, when we left GDIT, we purposely stayed away from SOCOM for a year to go out and obtain the past performances that we needed to provide SOCOMs on their requirements. And that was, DevSecOps, cloud compute. So we did that in the civilian sector for a year. We came back to SOCOM. What I didn't want to do is come back and flash my chevrons or sergeant major and who I was to get some contracts. Wanted to come in there to provide, capability. So we did just that. We came in and we got our first shot at standing up SOCOM's cloud-enabled infrastructure. We pulled in all of our commercial past performance, the DevSecOps, And we did that, started 3 years ago, and we're still doing that today. That really stood us up in the federal government, in the federal government space. But we do everything C5 ISR, network systems, and then, like I said, on the other side, we have mission support. That's everything that the C5 ISR business areas enable: intelligence, operations, training, plans, all that kind of good stuff there. And we have, you know, 2 former SOF 06s that oversee both of those pillars. That's Colonel retired Air Force Russ Vos, retired. He was a CIO for SOCOM, deputy CIO for SOCOM. He leads all of our C5 ISR. And in the right flank there with mission support, we have a former Rangers SF guy by the name of Colonel retired Roger Jones. He leads all of that for us. And then obviously AC, you know, you got to have a guy like AC to provide all that strategic direction for us. And so he's our strategic director that is that collaborates and work with both towers and then all 3 functional areas of the business: you know, business operations, operations itself, and then obviously new business. On our mission support side, we have a number of contracts, right? We have the USSOCOM's Soft Core Support Services, a $900 million IDIQ. We're a prime contractor there. We have the Maritime Special Operations Forces contract that supports primarily all of NSW, or the Naval Special Warfare Command. We're one of 4 prime contracts on it. We have a number of C5 ISR IDIQs and single award contracts. One is we have the site contract, Site 3, for supporting DIA. We're a prime contractor there. We just got awarded the STARS 3 contract, primarily doing C5 ISR. Yeah, it's like a $25 billion effort. Site 3 is like a $12 billion effort over, I think, 10 years, something like that. We have a NIWIC contract. We're a prime contract on it. The former Spathe War, which is now NIWIC, we're a prime contractor there. We have an IT Schedule 70. And we're also one of the first small businesses that got on the DevSecOps, the Air Force DevSecOps BOA, primarily doing what we were doing in SOCOM. They picked 19 companies initially 2 years ago. We were one of the 4 small businesses that got on. They then obviously opened up and they flooded the gates right now. But we have a number of IDIQ contracts and then single award stuff there in SOCOM. We're doing C4 training in SOCOM as a prime contractor, Socrates and SOCOM, the mobile computing initiative as a prime contractor in SOCOM. So we're just doing a lot of things. We're about 200 strong right now. And you know, we're going to be around for a while. You know, I mean, we have a bunch of folks, type A personalities. We built a nice infrastructure to support all of our contracts. Over the last, I would say, you know, year, we put in, you know, close to $1 billion worth of awards. I mean, proposals, and we're waiting right now. COVID kind of, you know, got everybody stagnant for a while. Things were punted to the right. Things were postponed and post-tested, and so. You know, we're going to see what happens here in just a couple of weeks on where we stand. And if some of those things come through, we won't be a service stable veteran-owned small business for long, because there's any one of those things that we put in, if we're awarded here, with, you know, we'll blow through the ceiling of any kind of small business socioeconomic category. So yeah, we're doing good things, and we're super excited. And that's pretty much you know, what we do in Spathe Systems.
Yeah. So listen, again, for our audience, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, there was one thing I wanted to add. We're talking about, you know, individuals transitioning out. AC, you know, fortunately we got him on our team, and he actually piloted something we have in our organization with the Warrior Care program and folks transitioning out. AC, you want to pull the thread a little bit, you know, kind of go to distance of what we're doing there, because this is important, Howie, to what we.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, that was actually the next question
yeah.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
In fact, if you don't, AC, just give me a second here, because I just want to reinforce a couple things Mark said, and then I actually want to turn to the Warrior Care system or program and the DoD SkillBridge program, right? But I again, just for our audience, real quick. So look, there's a reason I have the guests on this show that I have, right? You're looking at 2 sergeants majors, right, that were very successful in the military, were very successful in government service, and now are very successful in starting their own business. Well, successful in government contracting, and then started their own business, right? And so, who else out there could, who in our audience could, is capable of doing what these guys are doing? Every one of you, right? Every one of you has the potential to do what these guys are doing, because that the military gives you the skill sets, the competence, the confidence, the leadership skills, the management skills, right? So I hope you take this away from this episode. Now, these are exceptional men. There's no question about it. These are very, very exceptional men. But the point is, so are you, and women. There's exceptional men and women listening to this show, and every one of you has the potential to do just what Mark and AC have done, whether it's in government service, whether it's in contracting, whether it's starting your own business. And I just hope you glean from what they've done, that you have the potential to do everything they're doing, because you have those kinds of skill sets as well. But hey, AC, let me shift to you real quick. I would love for you to highlight for us. You know, you brought this the initial Warrior Care program from SOCOM over to Spathe Systems, and I know from our recent conversation that you've just been accepted into the DoD SkillBridge Program as well. So, if you would just kind of talk to those, because I think what you guys are doing, what Spathe Systems is doing, and AC, I know you're a major part of this. What you guys are doing to help men and women transition from the military into life after the military is exceptional, and I'd just like you to share that story.
Yes, sir, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. First, I want to say we're in support of those two programs, the DoD and the Command. SOCOM, they do a wonderful job with transitioning soldiers and military members. We just wanted to do our part to provide the military members that are transitioning and their families a chance to see what business looks like, and also give them a chance as they're transitioning out to do the things like you said. So, hey, they've got to take care of their medicals thing, take a little time off with their family, maybe just weekends or so. But we build a schedule around that transition time that they can get skills in business, whether it's program management, project management, contracts, finance, whatever. We have our internship program built to assist them with coming out and seeing whether business is really what they want to do. It's usually about a 90-day period. And we work with all officers, non-commissioned officers, enlisted in both of the programs. And we want to make sure that they and their families feel comfortable about coming out into the civilian world. And we've had some successes. Our first person that came through one of the programs was an 06 Special Forces colonel by the name of Matthew McKim. And he came out and wanted to look at IT. I didn't think that would be what he was looking at, but he did. And he came out and sat down with us and jumped in with some of the junior developers and helped build a application for some of the forces that would benefit our forces down the road for training. And then we also had another senior enlisted come through the program. He was former J6 SEA, Danny Lopez. And Danny came through, him and his wife and their kids. They said, hey, well, we want to see what business looks like. And we let them all see what the company was like and let them share, the things that we were doing. And they walked away from the program, and Danny landed a job. His wife's happy, family's happy. And that's what we want. That's what we try to do for the servicemen that are transitioning.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I'm sorry, but real quick here, just imagine how if we had that when we transitioned out, something like that. I mean, just imagine how valuable you would have been. I know you were valuable to Morgan Franklin, but how you'd have came in instant offense. Instant offense.
Not initially, Mark. It took me a while.
Yeah, no. Yeah, exactly. It took you a while, but if we taken, like AC said, out here, in the defense contracting world, it's a life cycle, right? So, an idea into a reality, a penny, right? And so, and all those things in between. And we actually walk them through that life cycle. They spend time with me, my business partner, AC, everybody, and with our accounting folks, our finance guys and gals, everywhere. And like AC said, that colonel was a SF Ranger kind of guy touching applications. You know what I mean? He was a value add because he was able to give realistic operational insight into developing an application that his guys that, when he was in uniform will use. And so it's a big deal. And I know you want to get going, AC, sir, but AC, he didn't stop there. He did the Warrior Care program. He's pulling the thread on what's the program, AC?
SkillBridge.
SkillBridge. But he also, SkillBridge. But he also partnered with a few colleges and universities, and we're doing the same thing there. From
cool.
Not only folks coming, the service-disabled veterans transitioning, but folks, youngsters, we need youth, we need new stuff. We're antiquated, move new folks. And so we partner with them, and we have a partnership with AC. Speak about the FSU stuff.
Yes.
Just real quick. I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry, sir.
No, go for it. Man.
Yes, sir. This excites me because we had a chance to go out to the University of South Florida, get some young kids to come in and do their stuff. Got the some of the top kids that were in IT and brought them in, and they jumped in and they're working in some of the contracts. They're working for the command now. They're all happy. Cool. They're supporting the war fighters. We also went out to historically black college and university called Florida A&M. That's Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, and got some of the interns, some of the college. Got an intern now, a college grad. He'll graduate early from college. Pulling that youth in to try to ensure that for our country and the defense of our country, we got the best and the brightest. Getting back in the game and preparing us for our future. So those are two other internship programs that we're working with, and I'm excited. When I see those kids, I get really excited.
But he really do, sir. He actually bring them in, give them soft 101. That's the start. Get them all pumped up about, hey, you're gonna touch applications, this being operationally, deployed and soft networks, enable operations, right? These guys and gals, we get them cleared, and now some of those guys and gals, or all of them, some of them don't have Spathe uniforms on, but they're in the defense contracting space as cleared professionals. We got a facilities clearance, and we get them cleared, and it's just a beautiful thing, and that's all because of AC Coley.
What I love, guys, about this, just if I can jump in real quick, for those of you listening to this, some of you are watching this, for those of you listening to this, these two are visibly excited about all of these opportunities they're creating, and that's the key, right? It just shows you that not just that there's really, really good people out there, but when you give back, when you create opportunities, that's really the gift of the job sometimes. But I wanted to tell the listening audience, you two are visibly excited about this stuff, just so I could add a couple of exclamation points onto what you're saying.
Yeah, we are. I mean, no doubt about it. You can see it. I mean, we just give, AC a long leash, and he just go out there and he do it, man. And it's just a beautiful thing. He comes and tell us some of the schools here, some of the we call the disadvantaged elementary schools here. He did that for us. You know what I mean? Brought them in and doing good things for them. You know what I mean? So just a beautiful thing, man. It's a good environment, giving back like that, AC.
Yeah, and I've got another challenge from a very good friend of mine, a young man by the name of Rick Lamb. He's a legend in the special operations community. Rick Lamb and I, we're excited about training. We training going into giving youngsters in the elementary schools just a little history on the military. And we at Spathe, we provided some sessions with some kids on Veterans Day. We had a Zoom session with some kids.
Yeah, we did.
I think they were fifth and sixth graders, and they asked us everything about the military. About
Very
going to
cool.
war, jumping out of airplanes, and it was exciting. And that just pumps us up. I mean, because that's our future, and we want to do anything that we can do to help prepare the future for this great nation.
Now, listen, that is absolutely awesome. And there are so many things that we're doing in pivotal moments that would be so compatible to what you guys are doing. And I'll make sure we have some conversation about that, at another time. But I love what you guys are doing. It's absolutely incredible. Hey, Lee, you wanna kind of finish off here with our last question?
Yeah, but Howie, you know that before the last question.
Oh yeah,
So
it's that time.
It's that time. So obviously, those of you listening, know
man, AC, what's going on?
So
I have no idea, man.
Before I ask the last question, I've gotten in this habit of I give all of our guests, should they write a book title. Some of them are better than others, but I listen to the conversation and I write on my little sticky note here what your books would be called. Okay. Now, Mark, I'm gonna actually, AC, I'm gonna start with you. This one made sense. I got this about halfway through the episode. Your book title is the 30-second interview: How to Impress Your Boss and Make Them Need You Immediately. Right? So you got to write that one. We got like here's the thing. When Howie said it, 30 seconds in, I knew I was hiring this guy. I go, AC, you need to write that book. It's going to be a top seller. And then Mark, your book. This is funny. So I wrote this down during the show, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm realizing now that I had this one for maybe a year, and I only met you today. That yours is called "Clean the Latrine," a memoir. By Mark Clifton.
Hey, Lee, I'm gonna do it, man. I'm gonna do it.
Don't forget, it's a memoir. Clean the Latrine, a memoir.
I'm gonna do it.
And Mark, the forward is by Howard Cohen.
I'm gonna do it, man. Hey, that's it. I'm doing it.
The latrine. All right, guys. Serious note, right? Thank you. The last question for both of you is, as Howie said, pivotal moments. We seek to strengthen mental fitness worldwide. That's why we're here. And we need to ask, how do you personally define mental fitness? And please share the things you do on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis to stay mentally fit.
Hey, for me, so I'll start, AC. So for me, mental fitness I define as, first, accepting, yourself, accepting who you are, liking who you are, self-esteem. I'm like how we mentioned earlier, I'm from East Orange, New Jersey. I'm from the projects. I respect and I appreciate all the lessons learned there. So self-esteem, and then, having the ability to be resilient. You get knocked in the face, you get knocked in the head, which we all do all the time. We just got knocked in the head on a contract, sir, that I was just coming from that. I didn't know how I was going to respond in here because we just found out we didn't get a contract we thought we was going to get. But you get back up and be resilient. You know what I mean? And then the ability to keep your calm or to stay cool when you're on that emotional roller coaster. You know what I mean? And so some of the things I do, obviously, my mentors, my family. I mean, my family is everything to me. God, for sure. I do some reading, not as much as I would like to, but I do. And the one thing that I'm negligent at, and I'm getting better, and AC can tell you, I just came off a vacation, so you have to get away sometimes, to keep yourself mentally fit. Myself and just me and my bride just went out to Vegas, which I haven't done in, since I've really been out here doing this kind of stuff here. And we just lost ourselves. And, my business partner and I agreed that the only way that I'd be contacted is if the company's about to explode. And it didn't explode. And so for 5 days, it was just me and my wife. And so when I came back into the company last week, they said I was a different person. You know what I mean? So, that kind of stuff you have to do to stay mentally fit. And AC, I'm always calling them. I called them before I left. Before I went, contractor, government, before I came to Tampa, before I jumped into Arma Global Corporation, before I, jumped out in Spathe Systems. So you got to have those mentors like that that's going to give you candid feedback. You know what I mean? And so, that's what mental fitness is to me.
Great.
Yeah. So I'll just end with this. My mother, Lorraine Coley, armed me with the Serenity Prayer early on in life. And the prayer goes like this. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And my wife, Teresa, keeps me on target praying that prayer each and every day, because that what keeps me grounded. If you hear those words, there's some solid words, and if you can apply yourself to those things, you'll be okay.
Well, listen,
No doubt. Well said.
I cannot think of a better way to close this episode out, as much as I hate to close it out. But I just want to thank you guys. You have meant so much to me personally, so much to me professionally, in uniform, out of uniform, and just the opportunity to even spend time with you is something I value. Like, you have no idea how much I value that. So thank you for everything you've done today to share, I think, incredibly insightful information for our audience. I love what you're doing to help others in that transition process. I love what you're doing to help develop young men and women into productive, mature men and women, both at the young school age and at the middle school age and whatever it is. Because I don't think there's probably not a better pursuit than that, is how to mold children into great young men and women, ultimately into great men and women. So thanks for everything you guys are doing, and thanks for being with us today.
We appreciate it, sir. Appreciate it, Lee. No doubt about it. Thank you.
I echo everything that Howie said. And you've been listening to Life After the Military, which is powered by Pivotal Moments. And you can learn more about the organization at pivotalmoments.org. We have more inspirational, entertaining, and educational content there. For AC Coley, Mark Clifton, and Howie Cohen, I'm Lee Elias. Thanks so much for joining us, and make sure to keep an eye out for more episodes soon, wherever podcasts can be heard. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on Life After the Military. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.